right, we're here at the fair on Sunday. We have with us today Chairman Brian Schimming. He's the state chair of the Republican Party. And Mr. Schimming, thanks for being on today.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's I've got a background in some talk radio, so I'm not new to the microphone, and I'm picking up some hours for Vicki McKenna this week. And but it's a busy week ahead. We just had an exec board meeting. I'm flying to Atlanta actually on Tuesday for the RNC meetings in Atlanta, and we'll be joined by the vice president there, so I'm excited. But this is fun. I can honestly say I love doing fairs. I was at State Fair last week for a couple days, and I love, so I think you know this, but I'm a Republican from Madison, Wisconsin. So the ability to get out of there and go somewhere normal, that's got a high premium for me.
Very good. Yeah, I love Vicki. I've been on her show many times. She's been gracious enough to have me. It's always fun.
Yeah.
So it's good to see you out here at the fair. First off, what inspired you to bring the Wisconsin GOP presence here today, and what are you most looking forward to here at the fair?
Yeah, so for me, it's really, I've been traveling the state for the better part of 30 years. I worked for Governor Tommy Thompson, Governor McCallum. I worked for 4 years for Scott Walker. And so I always said when I was in those kind of positions that I would spend a day a week out of Madison somewhere. So sometimes it was touring businesses, sometimes it was things we were helping fund, representing the governor, and just going out. I like to see it and see what's going on myself. I put a very high premium on that. And the great thing when I was in the agencies doing that was that I would get a notebook full of stuff from people that, just wanted somebody that was going to pay attention to what their issue was. And then I'd take it back and would do something about it. So it was, for me, it's great. I love being out of Madison. I mean, I grew up there. I always say that having grown up in Madison, I was right on the tail end of the anti-war era. Just right, I was like 10. So when they blew up Sterling Hall on the UW-Madison campus, it shook our whole house. And so I always say, as a Madison Republican, I'm kind of, when you go to the county fair and go into the building where all the weird stuff is, the bearded lady and the spoon bender, I'm in there as a Madison Republican. So I like being on the road and talking to people. That's where I get ideas for what we should do. And I'd like to think that affected what we did for President Trump.
Very good. So you've led the party through some very key elections and internal discussions. Do you feel like there's a renewed energy on the ground, especially in places like Kenosha that are more purple turning red?
Absolutely. You know what's interesting about that question is that I think people kind of get caught up in the day-to-day politics or political discussions. Their fundamental problem is they don't get what's really happening out there in terms of, I think Republicans identify as the party, care about immigration, care about crime, care about taxes, care about the kitchen table issues that affect everyday lives. And where the Democrats still, even now, I mean, what's amazing about this is they're all out there on all this woke crap right now that are like 15% issues that people that are walking by us, the hundreds and thousands of people walking by us right now, don't care about. In fact, they see it as harming the ability to get at what folks really want to have done. I'm the only Republican state chairman on the board of the Republican Mayors Association, and I got picked because they wanted somebody who knew something outside of a city and just spent a lot of time working everyday folks. And so I've really been trying to make a point of being out there and understanding the issues that people here at the Kenosha County Fair actually care about, not all the crap that they care about at the Capitol, frankly.
Very good. Looking to the future, what are your top priorities as we move towards 2026? Whether it's growing volunteer networks, focusing on key races, policy priorities, what should Wisconsinites expect?
So on the short term, in the off year, by law in Wisconsin, you have to recruit poll workers that work in the elections next year. They have to be recruited by state law by November of the year before. In other words, this year, we recruited almost 6,000 volunteers 2 years ago at this time to work the polls. We'll now be doing that this year for next year's election. High importance. Election integrity, securing the vote is a top issue for the president. Huge issue for the president. I've talked to him about it, I don't know how many times over the campaign, because I was with the president or the vice president, now vice president, almost every time they were in the state. So we talked about this all the time. So recruiting folks, building the infrastructure that we need to win. I would always say at the end of one of the president's rallies, the win is out there. I didn't care if there was 1,000 people there or 20,000, and I did crowds of both those sizes. And I always said the win is out there, but we have to go get it. It's not going to come to us because we think we're right on the issues. We have to go get it. And that's the philosophy that drives me to be at the Kenosha County Fair today and to work the state and to help build grassroots all over the state. All of that is critically important. It doesn't happen. And I was saying at a meeting I was at yesterday about the importance of poll workers. I can have $1 million attorneys going into court, but if I don't have people who volunteered to be poll workers and say, you know what, I saw that extra stack of ballots sitting where everybody can get at it, or maybe the back of a voting machine wasn't secured and anybody could play around with it. If I don't have a volunteer, a poll worker, or a poll watcher, where they can see that, write it down, or record it on an app, it doesn't matter how expensive the lawyers are, because it doesn't matter, because we don't have the evidence we need. So volunteers, grassroots volunteers, are the start and the end of everything we do, and I mean that very literally.
Well said. So finally, on a lighter note, as busy as you're going to be today talking with folks, on the fun side, what are your favorite activities? Is there any must-have as far as food? What are you going to do for fun here while you're visiting?
Well, I'm not sure yet. I came right over to the building, and in my weight range, I would say I've been to some county fairs. You know, I grew up working around restaurants. I worked fish fries every Friday night for 15 years. I grew up around that atmosphere, and so I like being with people, and I like talking to people. So for me, a lot of it is, number one, just kind of seeing what everybody's got. I do like walking around the exhibition. I do. I love it. I really like it, actually. And then just talking to people. And it's fun for me to do that. And it helps me get out from behind the desk or a meeting room, which are like my two least favorite activities. So being out at events like this are super fun. I like traveling around the state. I've been doing it for a long time. I've been to all 72 counties. I've spoken in every single one of them over the years. I've recruited candidates in most of them. So I'm a homer. I don't mind saying I'm a homer. I'm a Wisconsin guy, and so that's fun for me. Doesn't sound like that, but maybe for some people they're like, "Is that the best you got?" And I obviously do a lot of media, and so when you're me and you got a voice for radio and a face, when you have a face for radio and a voice for print, that's it narrows your options down.
Very good, very good. Well, thanks for sitting down with me, Chairman
So
Schimming.
great to be with you.
Have a good rest of your time at the fair today.
Always fun to see you.
All right, take care.